7:15 on this, let me get this right, it is Thursday, and on Tuesday, while delivering her medium-term budget, Gauteng's finance MEC, Nomantu Nkomo-Ralehoko, said the 6th administration has put forward an ambitious plan to steer Gauteng towards Vision 2030. The vision aims to address challenges of unemployment, poverty and inequality by working closer with municipalities and departments to achieve good service delivery and governance. South Africa and, of course, Gauteng is the economic engine and accounts for 35% of the country's GDP. Despite being the smallest province, it also has the largest number of people. Well, let's welcome in studio the MEC for Finance, Nomantu Nkomo-Ralehoko. Good to have you. Thank you so much for coming to studio with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Lian.
So how's it been? I mean, you came into this position, so it was June that you were appointed into this. How's it been for you?
It has been an exciting one, very challenging because I'm not a financial person. Now I had to get into basics and studying the basic finances, basic economics, because I don't think you will know finance if you don't understand the economics. So that's what I've been doing for the past 5 months. But learning the department, it's not only one department, it's 2 departments. I'm leading in the finance, and I have another department that is called e-government that deals with the ICT, broadband. You know, the broadband of joining all the government departments together, taking it to SMMEs and ensure that where they are able to have connectivity in the whole province. So that's what I'm dealing with. And I have another agency that I'm dealing with, which is Gauteng Infrastructure Agency, financing agency. So it's GIFA, we call it GIFA. I'm sure you have heard about it.
Indeed.
So that's another entity that I'm leading. So it's almost 3 things that I have to take care of in the province. But I think now it was exciting. I was scared first, I have to be honest with you. But I think now I'm getting there. I've established, I know all the three issue areas that the Premier has deployed me to take care of in the province. And again in finance, which I've realized, Lian, you are not only just dishing out money to government departments. That's what I've picked up, and which I'm doing it now. I must follow that money, where it goes in every department. When I allocate something for you, even if it's 20 rand, I must make a follow-up and know where is this 20 rand going, because you have plans, and I think we have seen earlier on when you were talking about the ambitious plan that we have of 2030 vision as Gauteng, because we want to grow Gauteng together. We want to make sure that Gauteng is a place where everyone can claim and stay in it. But that's why, again, because the question that you'll ask me, how do you get there and make that Gauteng, this area, Gauteng that we're all proud of? It's when we maintain the existing infrastructure programs that are here in Gauteng, because we have roads that needs to be maintained, we have hospitals that needs to be maintained, clinics, and even build new hospitals. So those are the things that we need to do. When it comes to education, we must make sure that we maintain our schools. When you take your child in January, you must know that my child is going to get space in this school. But besides the issue of the space, there's furniture, there's material that you can learn. And again in Gauteng, which I think that's another question that you can ask me, how do you cope in Gauteng? Because there's an issue of immigration. People are coming to Gauteng. You see some of our cousins, because my MEC is my cousin is in Gauteng, definitely want to take the child and start in Gauteng, seeing the improvement, by the way, to the children that we brought them during holidays if we are at home. So those are the other things that we must always, when we plan and budget, we must know that there will be this number, maybe that will move up than the number that we have in Gauteng. Remember, we're at 15 million now of people that are residing in Gauteng. So the number is growing almost every financial year, and it's a problem, but we need to deal with that problem.
Okay, let me ask you a couple of questions. You're doing well in asking yourself the questions, but I'll go in and just talk to some concerns, particularly from major organizations. I mean, we'll just take the International Monetary Fund as an example. You know, they talk to the fact that structural changes need to be implemented. Otherwise, our economy will continue on this very slow growth path. Gauteng, of course, is not immune to this. As we say, we're the engine, we're the hub of South Africa. What are your budget suggestions that are going to meet these demands?
We have key areas that we are prioritizing, and we want to make sure that we develop skills in the province. As we've said, we are creating jobs, minimize the rate of unemployment, and our budget is directly looking into those areas, because once we make sure that we cap the rate of unemployment, we create jobs, we'll cap the rate of unemployment, and we'll have to bring more investors in the province so that at least we normalize the situation when it comes to our own growth. So it's growing very slowly, the economy in the province. I have to be open about it. It's something that we can't hide about it. And I think that's why Minister Mboweni, he has this document on the growth of our economy. You remember that document? But in Gauteng now we have our own growing economy together, which is GGT 2030 vision that we're using.
Yeah.
So we want to link it up with all your SDGs, your NDP. So those are the things that we look into, helping us to ensure that we move forward in terms of growing this economy.
How? Let's talk to
Bring more investors in the province. That's what we are doing. Premier had 2 already. He had a conference, Africa Investment Conference. We had our own Gauteng Invest SA conference that we had 2 weeks back. It was 2 weeks back, years before the budget. And then we, besides the national one that the president have organized, the international one that the president has organized. But all the investors wants to come to Gauteng. But again, the Department of Trade and Industry is working with us very closely. We have the GGDA, which is Gauteng Growth Development Agency, that is responsible for bringing more investors in the province, making sure that we build the SEZs in the province, which is something that we've already done in collaboration with them as the province. But we want to change and make sure that if you see Gauteng, you see a place that there are more jobs that are being created, there are more investment that is coming. But we need to normalize the situation again. Issues of safety, we must address them whilst we want to bring investors, because nobody will want to invest to a country where it's not safe. And nobody will want to invest to a country where the environment is just deteriorating, the towns are dirty, like you can see in some parts of the province, especially in Johannesburg. So we want to work again with municipalities and plead with them, because as we're doing that, by the way, because we do work with municipalities, especially local municipalities and metros, so through the forums that we have at the government level. So in those forums, we want to make sure that all their programs are linked with the programs that the province is doing of growing the economy of this province. So that's why we have the MEC for infrastructure have a program that is doing of all the pipeline projects in the province. So we've identified all the big projects that we have in the province on infrastructure that we believe that we must finance them and we must make them work.
So when you delivered your speech yesterday, you said that there's poverty, which we do know. You've addressed that here in the province. You also mentioned and put the word perceived unemployment. Was that a slip of the tongue, or do you honestly believe that there's perceived unemployment?
No, it was a slip of the tongue, because the unemployment is there.
So that's a reality. I mean, the unemployment.
It's a reality, it's there, and we need to take it down, because the rate of unemployment is getting higher and higher, especially young people that are standing on the street. And we have programs now that are directly to the young people. We have a program called Tsepo 1 Million that we want to make sure that that program is assisting us to reduce the rate of unemployment to young people, because we check with them their skills and make sure that we place them to specific companies where they can be helped. And there is a program that we always do in June, but that one in June is just a bigger one of bringing them to one area, identify specific areas where we can see that the rate of unemployment is high, especially to young people. When they are there are companies that we invite so that they can assist and showcase the work that they are doing, and they can even take some of the young people and place them to those companies. Even in the area of ICT, which I'm responsible of, already now we're trying to go to every area, especially your remote areas, your Hammanskraal, your Mitsweding, the parts of the Val towards the end, on your way to Free State, because we believe those children do need to be assisted by government too. So there are training programs that we are doing, and we have signed partnerships with your organizations called MEC that is responsible for ICT, that they want to train everyone in the province so that everyone can be at least ICT, understand what is the ICT, and even have programs that big companies wants to assist us in terms of minimizing this rate of unemployment, especially on young children. So I think we're getting there. It's a very slow progress, because you want to get to know how much are we spending and the progress in these programs. In some programs, we are not even spending money because there are big companies that are prepared to assist us and train for us young people that are not working. Good. And even place them to their companies, not only for internships, because sometimes we think that when we have these internships, it's fine. It's not fine. It creates more unemployment because after 2 years, they go back again home and sit and not do anything. Yeah. That's why when we are saying if the child is having an internship, that child must be trained so that after 2 years, she is able to be placed to another area where she is specialized on.
I want to talk, there's so much to talk about, so I just want to jump quickly onto another issue, and that, of course, is of e-tolls. And let's get the province's view on all of this, because obviously we saw that the National Finance Minister has said that e-tolls are here to stay. Premier, however, has said, that he's opposed to the e-tolls. From the finance side of things, where do we stand on e-tolls? I
am not going to comment on the e-tolls because Premier has a program. In fact, it's a subcommittee of the MECs, including myself, that is responsible for a document that we've already done, which is going to be we presented it in the cabinet, and Premier is going to meet with the Minister for Finance, Minister for Transport. I always say roads for transport. The Minister for Transport. Both ministers and Premier are going to have a session. I think it's pending, it's soon, that session, where they will be discussing this issue of e-toll, and Premier will definitely announce on the issue. But it's something that is on the table. Okay. But please, can I not say anything about it?
I purely respect that. We're just hoping that when something does come of that meeting, yes, you'll be in and you'll discuss that with us so that we can know what's going on.
Definitely.
Santon Alexander. Now, this is something that everybody talks about, everybody looks at. It's an enclave of a glaring example of the inequalities that we experience here in South Africa, being the most unequal society and country in the world, with many challenges, with unemployment, poverty, inequality, some of which we've spoken about today. But what is the plan to address the promise you made about dealing with this inequality and this poverty that is so blatant and glaring in front of us? And you also spoke to the people that are coming here looking for jobs, the migration into Gauteng, which at some point looks like it's actually, you cannot employ or keep up with the amount of people that are here.
Leon, I always say to people, I remember at some stage, people doesn't know Alexander, how Alexander was. It was very difficult to get inside Alexander because you will find shacks even in the pavement. You will find shacks even in the Taskei River. But because I was part of this government, even then I was at the Gauteng legislature and I was in the housing committee. We did a lot of work. Alexander is born Deep Slot. Part of the people that are in Deep Slot are coming from Alexander. Part of the people that are in Bramfish are coming from Alexander. So we've cleared the streets in Alexander. You can see that even for yourself now. You can see the main road now, which was not there at some stage. But it's not 100%. There's still more work that we need to do. And I think it's that issue of migration, because we cannot stop people from coming and build their shacks. That's why even wherever we go, wherever township you go, you'll find that you build houses, I move in, and then I leave my cousin or my brother in my shack. So that's another thing that as government we must deal with. So that's the reason that you will think that we're not doing enough in Alex, and we're doing enough as government. So much has been done, and even now there's still some work that government is doing, working together with the local government.
And I do think, however, a lot more needs to be done.
Absolutely, I fully agree with you.
They don't see this. Just very quickly, I have to wrap the interview and get to the news. You spoke a lot about the vision for the province, xenophobia, racism, homophobia, other related intolerances within the province, and where fraud is rife, corruption is rife, the waste of public money is rife. There is a lot to achieve here. In all of that, I mean, how do you do this? This vision that you talk to, what is the sort of way to achieve some of these things that you've set out?
Already we have plans, because we met immediately as the cabinet. Then everyone was presenting what needs to be done in his department. That's why it becomes easier even to check which one is not doing exactly is performing enough as according to the plans. So we are always monitoring our work in that vision, but where we feel that Leon is not doing enough, will say to Leon, tell us if there is a problem in this area so that we are able to assist you. If it needs funds, then we have to plan how do we finance the programs that are in your department so that our vision is being achieved and realized by all the South Africans.
Yeah, MEC, we have to leave it there, unfortunately. But thanks so much for talking to us here on the program, talking to us about the funds here in Gauteng, and the MEC delivered her medium-term budget. This is Gauteng's Finance MEC, Nomantu Nkomo-Ralehoko.